Good morning, Junior Techie. This is Mrs. DeMailon speaking, and today we are going to do the revision of credit sales. This should not be new to you as you have already covered some of this in grade 9. However, if you didn't, please listen carefully. So, credit sales is when we sell on credit to our customers and we record it in the debtors journal and we post it to the general ledger and the debtors ledger. So, activity 2. JT Traders. For the following information was extracted from the accounting records of JT Traders. Select the relevant transactions to record them in the debtors journal, post to the general ledger and the debtors ledger, and extract the debtors list, and explain how the accuracy of the debtors control account can be checked. So, first of all, when we post to the debtors journal, we have to look for certain keywords in the transactions. Keywords such as issue an invoice, credit sales, sold goods on credit, or sold goods on account will indicate that it goes to the debtors journal. And then the posting rule, if we post the debtors journal, we post to 4 accounts. First of all, to record the credit sale, we post to the debtors control account and the sales account. And to record the stock that we sold, we have to record to the trading inventory and the cost of sales account. And we will go into more detail when we do the posting. So if we look at the opening balances that they give us a list of information from the debtors list of last month. And they tell us Brett owed 2,250, Shabang owed 810 Rand, and Russell owed 3,220 Rand. Now, if you add that, should then equal the debtors control. So the total of the debtors list should equal the opening balance for the debtors control. That's one of your measures of checking. So if we add the list together, it should give us the missing figure for debtors control. And that is then 6,280 Rand. Now next we're going to look at the transactions and we're going to highlight any of the keywords indicating that it goes to the debtors journal. So the first one, delivering of stock to Mr. Shabang to the value of 624 Rand together with a credit invoice. So credit invoice is our keyword. We know that goes to the debtors journal. 12. Day 12. Stock sold on credit to Russell and Kai Brett. So on credit, therefore it goes to the debtors journal. Day 20. Sold goods for cash. Now if it's cash, it does not belong in the debtors journal. It will go into the CRJ. Then the next one, day 23, goods on credit. So debtors journal. Second one on day 23, there's a bit of a catch because it says sold stock to Kai Brett to the value of 890, but he paid 230 cash and the rest is on credit. So the 230 Rand cash must go to the CRJ, and then the difference, the 660 Rand, will be recorded in the debtors journal. And then finally, sold or supplied merchandise on credit also indicates the debtors journal. So if we now have to look at the debtors journal, we are going to record the document. In other words, the first invoice number is V122. It was on day 5. The debtor is always the debtor's name, who we sold to, M. Shabang. His folio account is D2 because he was the second debtor in our list, so debtor number 2. The total invoice is 624 Rand, and then they tell us a markup of 50%. So if you have to calculate your cost price, remember its cost price is selling price over 100 over 1 times 100 over 100 plus the markup. So you're going to take your 624 Rand times by 100 over 150 to get the 416. The next transaction, Russell. We sold to Russell on credit 510 and they give us the cost of sales. So it's just a copy paste to fill it in. The document number is just the following number. Then it also said we sold to Kai Brett for 699 rand, 90 rand, with a markup of 33 and a third percent. So Kai bread, the total is 690 rand, and then to calculate, you say your 690 times 100 over 133 and a third gives us 517 rand 50 cents. So the rest of the debtors journal works in exactly the same manner. So you're going to post all the credit sales to the debtors journal. So if we then look at the completed debtors journal, you have to now fill it in from the different transactions. I just want to bring your attention to the calculation of some of the cost of sales. The first one is Shabang, where it says that you sold goods on credit to Shabang on the 23rd. The price code is RKK, where the cost code is Springbok, where S is equal to 1. So they give a letter to each number from 1 to 9, and then the last number is 0. And then you just RKK, find the correct number for the letters. So R is 3, KK is 00. So that's how we get 300 for the cost of sales there. And then the cost price of the 495 rand is just the 100 over 133 and a third percentage, and that's how you get that. And then we add up to get a total sales, credit sales for the month of 3,075, and a total cost of sales, in other words, total of the goods sold, 2,318 rand 50 cents. Now we are going to look at the general ledger. So we have to open the accounts. So there's 4 accounts applicable when we post the debtors journal. And first of all, the balance sheet accounts will be your debtors control, your trading stock, and your nominal sheet accounts will be your sales and cost of sales. Now step 2 is to classify your accounts. So each account, debtors control is a current asset, so plus on the debit side, minus on the credit side. Same for trading stock. Then sales is an income, so minus plus, and then cost of sales is an expense. Then we have to fill in the opening balances. Now because debtors control is an asset, it has a debit balance brought down. The same will apply to trading stock. And then remember, in the nominal section we talk about totals brought down. Sales is an income, so it will have a credit total brought down. And because cost of sales is an expense, it will have a debit total brought down. Then we post from each journal. Now you can just refer to your memo or refer back to the previous slides, but you post the total of the column at the end of each month. So the first column that we have there is the sales column, and the sales column will record the total debt of the customer and the sale that we have. So the total debt to the customer must be recorded in the debtors control account on the debit side, because it increases the debt of the customers. So plusing the debt, sales debtors journal 3,075. Then the sales account, on the 28th there was a cash sales transaction that we have to record first, of 230 rand, and then remember the one that links to the sale, credit sales, will be the debtors journal 3,075. Now in the trading stock account we have to record the cost of sales for the 23rd, in other words the cash sales transaction, and then lastly we will record the credit sales, the total of the debtors journal cost of sales column. So total of the goods sold on credit was 2,318 rand, and we have to record that in the cost of sales again. Now just the pink, that's the sales of the cash sales transaction, and then lastly the credit sales transaction that has to be recorded. So I hope this is a bit of a crash course, but I hope you guys understand what is happening. Then we have to also post to the individual accounts of each debtor, and we have, that is then the debtors ledger. Now the layout of the debtors ledger looks as follows, and this is a new ledger for you guys. So the debtor's name is always at the top, and then D1 or D2 or D3, that's the debtor's account number. We have a date column where we have the year above, month below, and the date. The details is always the source document and the number. The folio column is which journal am I posting from. And because we're working with current assets, the debit is the plus column, the credit is the minus column, and the balance is the final total. So if we now skip ahead and we look at the debtors ledger. So first of all, you will see I've circled the name of each debtor because each debtor has his or her own account. And we have to put in the opening balance. So the account rendered amount is the opening balance from last month. So from the debtors list of the previous month. And it goes straight to the balance column because it's only a balance of, let's say for Kybrate, for instance, 2,250. Then we have to record all the transactions specific to Kybrate from the debtors journal. So the first transaction we see is on day 12. The source document for the debtors journal is always a duplicate invoice. And the invoice we specifically issued to Kybrate was number 124. So that is why I say day 12, duplicate invoice V124. And that is then a total of the invoice 690. Now to get the new balance, you're going to have to say the previous balance plus the new invoice of 690 will give you the 2,940. Then on day 3, we sold to Kybrate again and we issued him or her invoice number V125, total sales amount of 660. Now we don't record the cost of sales in the debtors journal because that's not what they owe us. They owe us the full credit sales amount, and that will be the selling price. So the 660 Rand, and then yet again we add the 660 to the 2,940 and we get 3,600. And then the same on day 28, we have 204 Rand and we add it and we get a final amount owed by Kybrate of 3,804 Rand. And that 3,804 Rand will be the amount that is recorded on the debtors list. And you will do exactly the same for M. Shabang and C. Russell. Yet again, the opening balance, the account rendered, is the amount from the debtors list from last month. And then you have to compare your debtors or go to your debtors list and look for Shabang's name and put that specific invoice number and sales price in for each one. And then lastly, you will see your debtors list is the final totals of each debtor at the end of the current month, and then you get a total of 9,355 Rand. And then your last question is, how can we make sure that our debtors list is correct? So what is our checking measure? Now, our checking measure is that this 9,355 must be the same as our balance sheet account section or the debtors control account. So if we look at the debtors control account that we've already done, we had a balance of 6,280 and total credit sales of the month of 3,075, which gives us a final total of 9,355. And it is equal to our debtors list. So we know that we've posted correctly and everything is in order. So we didn't make any mistakes and we are fine. Then the next activity we are going to look at, we are going to now include return transactions. So what happens if a customer needs to return stock? And there's many different reasons for it. It's the wrong stock, the wrong size, the wrong color, it was slightly damaged, we overcharged him on an invoice. So things like that will all classify under return and money we owe him back. And we will look at how we record these returns in the next activity. Thank you for listening. I hope that this revision activity refreshed your memories on how to do posting and to the debtors journal and the general ledger. If you didn't quite get it, maybe listen to this video again and refresh your memory. Thank you. Signing off, Mrs. de Melon.